He didn't do it. He didn't do it. All the evidence is against him. Everything's against him. Give me 2 seconds. I think I hear somebody. 1 second.
Well, I'll cut around this bit.
I'm on the.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Letterboxd 250 podcast, the podcast where we make our way through Letterboxd 250 lists. I am your host, Kyle. As usual, I am joined by...
You already know me, the Podfather, back here again. Here, there, everywhere. Sometimes on pod, sometimes not on pod. Last episode, Invisible Man.
And of course... But today, we have a very special guest. You may know him from the Cast movie cast. You may know him from his short film pilots. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name is Jeffrey Borislow. Pretty much those are the only things people would know me from. So you nailed it there.
You just got to 100 episodes of the Cast. How's that been?
We did. Yeah, no, it's been... Yeah, it's like it really snuck up on me. I think that when we were going back through all the episodes for our tier list we did, like rating every film we talked about, I realized that I remembered the episodes that were like earlier more than the last bunch, just because I think this COVID year has been like just a blend.
Yeah. I was heartbroken when I saw you didn't like Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I'm not going to be...
that's a classic. That's a classic film.
It hurt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But
did you get a lot of flack for it?
Sorry?
Did you get a lot of flack for it?
I did. I got a lot. Like that was because the thing is that Karsten gets tons of hate just because he's like he's like YouTube famous. So he says a lot of haters in general. But I am in this nice area where the only people who know who I am are ones who are active listeners to the podcast I do. So everyone's very supportive, except for this Diary of a Wimpy Kid review. That was the only time anyone has ever like insulted me.
Have you ever tried the sequels? Was it just the first one and then?
No, that was the first one. Is the only time I've ever seen it.
It's a lot of people talk about Diary of a Wimpy Kid. They say it's like a precursor to like MCU level world building. If you look at the way it all interweaves, stuff that comes in the first one, by the time you hit Roderick rules, of course, undisputed masterpiece in the genre. What's his name? Francis Ford Coppola. He was like, that's what I tried to do with The Godfather. Like years later, Diary of a Wimpy Kid had a bigger impact. And it makes sense. That's no spoilers for the 250 list, obviously, but you know what we're working towards. Everybody knows what we're going towards.
But yeah, on that topic of you getting flack for your ratings, what's your experience been with Letterboxd as a whole? Do you find it positive or has it been negative or?
Yeah, so because I talked to Karsten a lot, for him, I know the experience is very different than mine. Because pretty much on every one of his reviews, people immediately just start like bashing him, saying like, why is this guy popular? But for me personally, it's great. Everyone's like, Jeff rules. He's the best. Jeff. I'm like,
your pilot short film has got like a 3.8 on Letterboxd, doesn't it? It's higher like than the Avengers.
Yeah. So the thing about that is I looked and I was seeing if I made it into the top 250 shorts of all time on Letterboxd. And here's the thing. My film is high enough rated. It just only has like 50 or 60% of the amount of views necessary because they have a 500 view threshold. But if it ever gets to 500 views, it currently has a high enough rating to be considered one of the 250 best short films of all time on Letterboxd.
We're gonna have to start another podcast.
Yeah.
Now, what we need to do now is we got to start boosting up the views. That's what we got to tell people. We got to start boosting up the views.
Right.
You know how people have like streaming farms. We need to just put the film in there, make sure get the views straight up.
Yeah, I just want to be very clear though. It does not deserve that. I have heavily manipulated Letterboxd's like rating system by just telling people to watch it. It should not be that high.
I really enjoyed it. But on that topic of streaming farms, what about your Mantis song about the guy who played it on loop? What happened again?
So I, like 4 years ago, I thought it would be funny to just make a song about a mantis that was like this weird mandolin synth thing. So it's just like a weird folk song. And I put it on Spotify as like a joke. And obviously no one listened to it at the time. But after I did this podcast, people found it. And this one person decided to like have it play in the background on their like computer indefinitely for days. So it ended up actually making me like $10.
Was that 10 million streams to get $10?
Yeah, something like
Yes.
that. No, it was, the thing is like, luckily a couple people for some reason purchased it, which obviously gives you a much higher return.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's up to like 5,000 something, or like around 5,000 streams.
Because wasn't you paying to keep it on there originally?
Yeah. So I have to pay. Actually, it is a company that's, I think, English that I do it through. Because the way you get stuff on Spotify is you go through these aggregators, and then you just pay them to like bundle it with all their other stuff they have on Spotify. So I pay £10 a year to keep it on there, and I've now made like maybe £15, and I've had to pay that like 4 times. So I'm like definitely in the negative.
Yeah.
But yeah, are you guys ready to move on to the first film, or have you got anything you want to talk about?
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think I'm ready.
Ready?
I want to address something very quickly.
Go on.
Obviously, it was an episode before. I wasn't a part of it. I want to make sure everyone knows there's no, breaking up here. It's not like the Beatles. We're not going nowhere. Listen, we're the core trinity. We're staying together. I just had things to do because I don't know how you guys explained it on the podcast. I don't know if you even acknowledged it because the episode hasn't come out yet. Seeing behind how the meat's made here, but I'm never going nowhere. What's the speech of Wolf of Wall Street? He's like, I'm not fucking leaving. I'm here.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that Kyle did email me and said, Sharik, we're not sure if we're going to keep him. We did an episode without him and thought it went really well.
But you know what? He tagged me in that email as well. He made sure, he CC'd me, he made sure I saw it. I was like, ooh.
We actually replaced him with his brother for that episode, and that's not a joke.
Yes, actually was my brother.
We'll see if anyone even notices the difference.
Our hair's actually like so similar now because we both got this giant like mane.
But let's move on to the first film. And to be fair, I've been looking forward to this film for a very long time. Ever since we saw the 250 list and we saw it towards the bottom. First of all, I was shocked, but I was excited that we could get to it quicker. So the film we're talking about today is Heat. Heat is about a master thief, Neil McCauley, who leads his crew on various daring heists throughout LA, while a determined detective, Vincent Hanna, pursues him without rest. Jeff, as our guest, do you want to go first? What did you think of the film?
Yeah, so I had never seen this film before, primarily because every time I was like, what should I watch? This film is almost 3 hours long. But I'm glad I watched it. It's very good. I mean, I also recently watched Point Break for the first time, and this definitely has a lot of similar vibes going on. But yeah, I liked it.
Simon, what did you make of the film?
I think it's filmmaking, filmmaking magic, all the components, like, they coalesce so well. And I don't really have much to say about why it's so good. It's beyond the fact that I just love it so much. Like, it's just, when you have a film, you just watch, you can't describe why you like it or hate it. It's just because that's it.
Because you was the only one here who had seen it before. Like, you'd seen it years ago, hadn't you? And not to spoil your rating, but it was high on your like favorites on Letterboxd.
Yeah.
So you've clearly got like a strong attachment to this film. But Sharik, so what were you going to say?
Nothing.
Oh.
Karen, Sharik.
Typical Simon Witt, just straight to the point. To quote the film, what I thought this film was, I thought it had a great ass. I've been saving that for so long. You don't understand? Ever since we watched the film, I had to pause it. That's one of the best scenes of comedy I've seen in my life. I thought this film was amazing. I love the actors. I love Michael Mann. It was just weird. I had already seen it. I mean, it was the 3 hours thing, as Jeff was saying. You're never gonna just sit down and watch something that is like almost 3 hours. Like, very rarely, but it just flowed really well. It didn't feel like 3 hours. Action sequences were out of this world. One of my favorite films ever is obviously like The Dark Knight, and you could see the inspiration Christopher Nolan had taken from this film, which was kind of just like a nice added bonus. I didn't expect it going in, but I was like, oh, like truck flipping scene here, and this is happening there, and I'll go more into it in like a minute when we get into like our deeper thoughts. But I loved it. I thought it had a great ass. I did.
I really liked it. It was not the film I was expecting at all. Because I'd heard about The Dark Knight, that the opening scene beared many similarities to this film. I've, for some reason, had in my head this is going to be completely a heist film, like, throughout. Whereas it more felt like a character study. And the first hour of it feels like it's giving all backstory to the characters. It's explaining their motives. Where any other heist film would have done that within 20 minutes. But this film did it over an hour, which was what I liked and also what I didn't like. I felt like it almost could have got moving a bit faster, but I appreciated that. Like, I felt like I knew these characters' lives in and out. Like Val Kilmer was like a gambler. I can't think of Robert De Niro's character's name, but you can tell he had like a good heart despite
Neil McCauley, I think. Yeah.
Despite the things he was doing, he had a good heart and his intentions were always in the right place. Like, I did appreciate that the film took its time, but when it got to the heist sequences, that's when I was like fully on board. So, but the thing is, because I knew you guys were going to love it anyway, when I was making notes while watching the film, I only wrote down the things that I didn't like. So I'll go through those first because it's very small. So the green screen in some scenes was atrocious.
Oh yeah.
There's that scene when they're on the balcony with Edie.
And
you can see LA. It looks so that was so bad.
Yeah.
No, I want to say that I watched it on YouTube because the full movie is just on YouTube. But the thing is, it's in 360p, so the green screen wasn't that bad for me because my resolution I was watching it was so bad.
That sounds like the ideal way to watch.
Yeah.
It's like VHS resolution right there. That's all you need.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And then this is going to sound like a minor critique, but that's why I'm just getting it out of the way now so we can be very positive towards this film. But Al Pacino's wife's character, her dialogue felt like it was ripped out of another film. It felt like it was like Malcolm and Marie dialogue. Whereas throughout Malcolm and Marie, everyone's speaking in like these Shakespearean quotes. Whereas this felt quite like realistic, but her dialogue was like, I can't even think of an example, but just the way she would speak to Al Pacino, it was like this very romantic, over the top dialogue, whereas everything else felt completely different to that. I don't know if you guys picked up on that.
Kyle, did you feel like, no, you said that a vivid scene just came to my head. You know, after every time, you know, after every time like a big like action sequence would happen, there'd be a scene, or like Al Pacino like goes to see a crime. There'd be a scene where he'll just be sat there, and she's like, "Why don't you talk about?" She always goes, "Why don't you talk about work?" And he's just there like.
It was those scenes, and like if you rewatch them, just some of her dialogue was off. But that's such a minor critique in like the grand scheme of things. But let's talk about Al Pacino for a second. This guy takes some bold swings, and I love it. Even when it doesn't work, I absolutely love it. The great ass monologue that you keep talking about, Sharik.
It's like his had. I read afterwards, after I saw the film, right, that he played his character the whole time as if he was under the influence of cocaine, which makes it even funnier because it's like. Because clearly he's good at his job. Everybody respects him. Everybody listens to him. Whatever he says, they're like, yeah, oh, you're on top of it. You know, this is the guy we got to follow. It's like he goes to interview the suspect and he's like, whoa. He's just so... It's the way he does this, but then he goes, whoa. Like he can't handle the ass. It's insane. It's insane.
Yeah, I read, like, back when it came out, that was one of the things people criticized, that his acting was exaggerated. Do you feel like that?
You know what? No. Yeah, for the film, it works perfectly. And it's like, did we talk about this last time? I don't know if we talked about this on camera, off camera, but there's like two types of Al Pacino films, aren't there? There's like Al Pacino is like quiet, he's reserved, he's doing this whole like Godfather 1, Godfather 2, he's doing this whole quiet thing, and you know, it's great. And then you have like the Scarfaces, how he is in Heat, how he was in what's the one? Not Dog Afternoon.
Jack and Jill.
Hoo-ha! Where he's like, hoo-ha! You can do that. Scent of a Woman. And like, and Jack and Jill, his greatest performance as Pacino. But when you think about it, like overall, he has those two modes, but it worked. I didn't want quiet. I don't want quiet Al Pacino in Heat. Can you imagine how boring that would have been?
Yeah, 3 hours of that.
Yeah, he just so she's just talking to him about, like, you know, relationship issues, and he's just like, Sorry. He's doing it all like sorry. It's terrible.
What did you think, Jeff? What did you think of his performance?
No, I mean, I thought that it needed to be that energetic at times. I do also love the trope of the really good police officers also for some reason being the ones who are the best at shooting guns. They're like, this is the guy, he's good at everything.
Doesn't he run around with a pistol as well for like in the end scene? Like he does it like he could have taken the machine gun, but he did it. He just took the pistol. And
He doesn't need anything else. I also like he's like, okay, I have a small shot here. I might kill this child, but I'm pretty confident.
Oh my god.
But you never question it because of how well it's executed.
It's like in the scene when they're in the street and he shoots at the bus stop and Val Kilmer's character gets out of the way, but there's people at the bus stop.
It's when they're running because they make a whole big deal about like, okay, get out the way so they can shoot. But then you have other cops going like just holding it high, aiming for the best. It's so hard. It's such a good film.
If we have to talk about one scene, the one that sticks out is the diner scene when they go for coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Like I think I heard about that scene before I even saw the film. Like that's shown in like film studies class. Like I don't know what you guys thought of it, but
okay. I was gonna say when I was watching that, Tom Hiddleston ruined it for me because he does an impression on it in Graham Norton. And ever since, that's all I can think about when that scene comes on. Just him doing it and Robert De Niro on the other side listening.
And Robert De Niro sat there like this with his like weird hat. He's like,
yeah.
What scene stands out to you, Jeff? Was that the scene that stood out, or could you think of anything?
I mean that's like such a pivotal scene just from like a plot structure point of view that I think that's like the scene that is like it's almost right in the middle of the film as well.
Yeah.
Where it's just like that's like it flips from like it being a chasing thing to like two people who know each other kind of, and everything kind of goes back and forth sort of. I don't know. Yeah, it's I would say that's probably the scene that does stick out the most. If I had to think of like one scene that encompasses the film, that's definitely the one. That or the gigantic shootout outside of the heist.
I was gonna say because that bank scene, obviously the diner scene is so pivotal, and I love it. And if I can quickly say my one complaint about the film, Robert De Niro's like look with the goatee, like aesthetically, did not do it for me. I thought all the fits were hard, like from a pure aesthetic point of view. I thought all of them had crazy good fits. The ponytail worked on Val Kilmer, like when he cuts his hair, and the guys can't recognize him. I was like, yo, that's the power of the pony, bro. No one talks about that. But it was when he goes out, his goatee was just weird. But the actual action scene outside the bank where they're just shooting, I think it did something similar to the diner scene, but you see it through the action. You see what type of person they are through their actions. Like Robert De Niro didn't have to go back for Val Kilmer. Could have left him, but this film is just bros over hoes because the way he leaves the girl with rapidness. He could have just got in a car with her, drove over Al Pacino and left. We never talk about that. Al Pacino's so far away. It would have been quite honestly light work. You could have got out of that situation.
This is the epitome of like a bros before hoes film because like no disrespect like to the hoes, but like at the end when he's driving away with her, like he could have went away and had like the happiest life possible. Like he was free, but I don't like because it's been like a week since I saw it. Had one of his friends been killed? Like what? Oh yeah, his friend had died, hadn't he? The one Al Pacino shot when he had the kid.
Al Pacino killed him, and that was different. This guy fucked up the score at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And he murdered I'm forgetting Danny Trejo, who was just called Trejo in the film.
Such a genius name. But like I love the fact and it added so many layers to Robert De Niro's character that he was in the clear and went back for no other reason but revenge, like redemption.
Yeah.
And that led to his demise. I loved how that was done instead of like it was done just for that purpose. Then like he could have been clear, and it shows what his character's mindset and his morals are.
Right. And there was all this foreshadowing throughout the film where it's like he doesn't forget these kind of things. Like he doesn't have like loose ends. It's like he ties everything up.
Yeah.
So I mean, the way that they were really nailing that home for 3 hours, it really was satisfying that was the decision he made.
Yeah.
You know when he was driving. Sorry, I was just gonna say about that scene you just talked about, Kyle. When he was driving down, this is how good an actor Robert De Niro is. You know, obviously you got the War Against Grandpa, all these classics. You know, Dirty Grandpa, all these other things he's done. But like when you, like all jokes aside, we know Robert De Niro is one of the best actors like ever. But when you watch something like you remember, like it's not even in the big action sequences. When he's driving with, I forget her name. Was it Edie? It was with the E in it. Edie.
Yeah,
Edie.
I think so.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Edie.
Yeah, he's with Edie. He's driving, and she's like, "Oh, we're home," and she's smiling because she's like, "It's great," and you see it on his face, and he's thinking about it, and he's like, "Not sure," and he's thinking about, "Yeah, it's gonna be great," and then he smile. The biggest he smiles is when he's like, "Yeah, we're gonna go kill this guy." You see, just on, and it's all so subtle, but that like unbroken shots so far.
I also really liked the climax because I was like, when they ran up like onto the airport, the runway, I couldn't think of what it was called.
Yeah.
And I saw like the way those things were positioned. I was like, I hope this is just like a silly like shootout where like they're hiding behind them, because you know when you're a kid and like you're on like one side of the wall and your friend's on the other, you know how tense it is when you're trying to hide from them. And I just thought, imagine Michael Mann directing that, like how tense it was, and it really worked for me because it was so simple but like so effective.
Did anybody else feel like with this film you'd seen, and obviously because it's such a classic, and you know the three of us haven't watched it before. Simon, you've seen it, so you must see the parallels even more, I guess. But like as I was watching it, I already said like the Dark Knight. Did you see like other things from pop culture you recognized as well? Because I saw like GTA 5 in this.
Oh, yo, that's in my notes right here. Like
I saw so much GTA 5 in it, down
like,
to how
there's no
Michael
reason
looks.
to make a GTA film. Like they clearly watched this again and again. This must have been a big influence, GTA 5.
Yeah, but like the way it plays out, and like
Yeah.
down to the heist mission, some of them there, like yo, you're doing this at there's a whole scene in GTA. We got to break into like the back of the room and do the whole to check for the gold. That happens in this film when he's going to like check the
Remember, the film is almost as long as the GTA campaign.
Oh, it wishes that GTA campaign goes. That GTA campaign goes on.
Yeah, I haven't finished it yet. It's been like what, almost 10
have you not
years.
finished it? I gave it out in 2013. That's
Almost 10 years.
terrible.
Jeff, what's your like experiences with longer films? Does it put you off watching something over like 2 hours?
I think that it doesn't put me off once I'm watching it, but I pretty much almost never watch films that are over 2.5 hours.
I'm the same.
Yeah.
If it's in cinemas, I don't mind because there's no distractions. But when you're at home and you've got your phone and you've got like family stuff like going on around you, it's very hard to watch something that's over 2 hours in one sitting. But are you two the same, or does it not bother you two?
Do you not?
I'm fine,
at
but
the cinema, oh, sorry, Simon, you go. Nah, this is the issue.
Okay, sorry, but yeah, like I'm fine, but it does kind of put me off, and I'm like, I do get reluctant, but eventually I do come around to it. Yeah.
What you were saying there about the cinema, Kyle, I think the thing is when you watch at the cinema, nobody ever checks how long the film is at the cinema. You just look at the title, see what it's about. You never go like, how long is this film? Unless you're gonna watch another film afterwards, and even then, you've already made the commitment to go to the cinema. You're there, right?
Mm-hmm.
The issue is when you're sat at home and you're like, oh, I want to watch. I don't know. Like, say you wanted to watch Heat, right? You're like, yeah, I want to watch Heat, and then you see that 2 hours 58. You're like, yeah, I don't. You're like, do I have the time? Or you can watch a whole season of The Office. Yeah, some people did. I don't know who's that. I don't know who was doing that. Bit of a wild one still, but. You can watch all this TV, but you're like, no, it's fine because one episode's 20 minutes, and then it's ridiculous like reasoning I think everybody does with themselves, and you're lying if you say you don't do it, like because everybody does it. Like I know people who watched all of the Queen's Gambit in like one sitting, and there's 10 episodes, each episode's like 45 minutes long. But then if you go to somebody, you watch this film, it's like 2.5 hours. I don't know about that. It's just so long.
Do you remember when The Irishman came out and people were like, this is how we do it as a mini series if you want to? Like people broke up like this is the time when you can like pause it. And it's such a crazy thing, like because
I never got around to watching it.
I still haven't seen it. I think about it so often. But every time I think about watching it, it's like it's 11 and I'm like, I was like, I got stuff to do in the morning.
Right, yeah.
Hot take, I'm not the biggest Scorsese fan. Like I didn't really like Goodfellas that much, but I really like The Irishman. So if that's you might like it, I'd recommend it, especially if you liked Heat because Pacino and De Niro are both in it, aren't they?
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah, it's a good film. Like I surprisingly enjoyed it.
Kyle, would you say that Scorsese's film was a not so good fella?
Oh my
Hey,
God.
I had to do it. I stuck with it
Pack
for
it
so
up,
long.
man. Pack it up.
Listen,
Go home.
that was A1. That was an A1 joke.
No, it wasn't.
You know, Simon's rubbing off on me. I'm getting his terrible jokes.
Yeah, it was probably a good joke. It was just like a country difference we have. That's why it didn't hit.
On that topic, Jeff, your humor. Do you enjoy British comedy? Because I've watched a lot of your watched that. What's it called? The paid research study.
Yeah.
I've only seen the first one so far, and I really enjoyed that. But it is very like dry wit sense of humor, which I usually like associate with British comedies. Did you grow up watching that? Or?
Yeah, no, I've always liked British humor, I'd say. Yeah. Now the thing is, the web series, of course, I didn't actually write that. I directed it, and I had like, obviously when you direct stuff, you kind of have influence on like line deliveries and that kind of thing, and like also, picking angles to try to make the jokes hit in a certain way. But yeah, no, anyways, getting back to your question, yeah, I do enjoy English humor a lot.
Yeah. Before we move on from Heat, because we all
like Monty Python, big Monty Python fan.
I haven't seen any Monty Python. Like I need to. I grew up watching like the In-Betweeners and.
Yeah, I watched that too. I actually saw the In-Betweeners. So I was in England on a vacation in 2009 during its original run, and I just happened to see it on TV when it was like the first episode of the second series.
What did you make? Did you enjoy it?
Oh yeah, no, it was great. It's a certain type of humor that obviously, it's like very blunt, and but I mean, I was also, when I saw it, I was 18 or 17, so I was like the perfect age to see that.
Yeah. That's crazy because I've watched Americans react to it, and it's not usually something that translates very well to Americans because the people in that show are awful people. But like,
right
at that age, you can relate to it because they're doing stuff like you do. I watched that too young. I was like 10 when I watched that. Like,
that's
a little bit.
Yeah.
But before we move on from Heat, because we all loved it, was there anything you guys didn't like that stood out to you? Or
I just had a question for Jeff. I just want to go back because I'm always waiting. I'm waiting. Like I'm a minute off time. Since I missed that last part, I'm just trying to get back into it. I'm just curious what you just said there. You said you came to England on holiday. And I've always been fascinated by this when people come to England on holiday. And I don't know if this is just because we live here, but why? Like, what have you come to do here? Like, where did you go?
Florida was too beautiful and hot, so I needed somewhere cold and dreary.
Because I've been to Florida, right? Kyle, you've been to Florida as well. I get why people go there. It's warm. It's got Disneyland. There's like different stuff there. Why do people come here?
Okay, so I can tell you that Americans go to England. I think London is an interesting just tourist. Yeah. That's where I was at that age.
Okay, that's what it
English.
Is then.
Yeah, I was in England like a year and a half ago for one day, and I just went to Brighton and just walked around.
But why Brighton? That's what I'm saying. Brighton's a shithole. No offense to
it's all right.
No offense to the people listening of Brighton. Shout out to Brighton, massive.
But for Americans, it's the country is so big that when people want to travel and they want to seem worldly, England is the easiest place to go to because it's the closest European place to get to. It's easiest to get a flight there. Also, they speak English.
And also the thing is as well, before Brexit, you could just be like, it's like, what did you do in summer? I went to Europe. You can say, and that sounds, when people used to tell me, they went to Europe, even though we were a part of Europe, it would sound so exotic and mysterious to me. They were like, I went to Europe. You're like, where'd you go? Mallorca. And you're like, all right, man. Like, you didn't go Europe. You went Spain. Like, relax.
Have you ever been to Birmingham by any chance? Birmingham?
I know where it is. I have not been.
It's the greatest city in the world.
I know it's the second city.
It's the greatest city.
I'm assuming you're all in Birmingham.
Yeah. Can I ask
your football team's a little bit bad?
A little bit.
It's awful. It's trash.
Yeah, I remember you used to have that one really tall striker like 10 years ago, I think, right?
Peter Crouch. Who?
Not Crouch. It was like a different tall guy.
Nicholas Zigic. I'm a
Oh, Zigic. Yeah. He was terrible.
Because correct me if I'm wrong, you're a Liverpool fan, aren't you?
Yeah, I am.
We have an Arsenal fan over here. I don't know where Simon is on the screen.
Yeah.
And Sharik, are you a football guy or?
Nah, I watch basketball, bro, because it's the only sport I can play. Like, I don't want to. Like, if I watch something I can't play, it just makes me upset.
Right. Oh, I'm awful at basketball. I can dunk because I'm tall, but I can barely shoot. Like pretty much, I'm automatic from inside about like 4 meters maybe, and then anything after that, I just brick every shot.
I got a follow-up question immediately after this, right? Because you can dunk. I made it my goal this summer, right, to learn how to dunk, because I'm 6 foot, almost 6'6". I'm like 6'5.7" if you want to get technical, but like I don't have the hops. I've got the range. I don't have the hops. I'm working on it. Like, I'm trying to get. I want just one photo. I just need one photo of me doing like some crazy LeBron dunk, and that's it. And that'll get traction for the next. I'm doing it for the podcast. I'm not even doing it for myself.
Oh no, you have the natural height and like reach, unless you have very short like T-Rex arms.
Nah,
I'm assuming you have normal arms that are like proportionate to your height.
Range like Kevin Durant.
So you definitely have the range where you can just kind of practice your jumping a little bit, because I just weigh like almost nothing, so I have that advantage where I'm like a stick man. I'm like those stick bugs that blend in with trees.
I'm about to go like full what's his name, Michael B. Jordan, like he did for Creed. I'm just going running in the streets, just get this one dunk. You're like, and I'm putting all the weight back.
Run up and down the steps like Rocky.
Straight, I'm ready to go.
Yeah. But I am a Liverpool fan. Was the previous?
Yeah, that was actual question.
Yeah. So to be fair though, because now the problem is, well, in the immediate last 2 months, Liverpool are terrible. But before that, people thought I was like hunting for glory. But I have been a Liverpool fan since like 2006.
Oh shit!
And they were bad back then.
Yeah.
And then I was still a fan in 2009-10 under like Roy Hodgson, when they were about as bad as they are now, but for a full half season until they fired Roy Hodgson.
If you were really glory hunting in 2006, Manchester United would have been the one. Because I lied in like 2000. Like I didn't even watch it in 2006. I was like, yeah, my favorite team is Manchester United, because I was like Ronaldo, Rudy. The team was so insane.
Yeah, I mean now like the last 5-6 years it's City.
Yeah,
they fell off hard.
Liverpool haven't been the same since lockdown, since the restart last season.
Yeah, it's definitely because of like, I think Liverpool, the fans being in the stadium made more difference than any other team.
So back to the original question within like the 5 questions.
Yeah.
Before we move on, any negatives about Heat? Did everyone enjoy it?
The only thing is, I think some of the action sequences do feel dated. Now, obviously, that's difficult to quantify as if that's a bad thing, because it's a film that was made in 1995. But obviously, the action sequences do feel very 90s, where they have like some of like the weird, like, I mean, just the way how like the sounds of the guns, even, it's so overblown, where it sounds like you're in like a middle of a war, just like even when there's like only 2 people with guns.
Yeah. No, sometimes I like that 90s action though. Like if you're in the mood for it, it works. But yeah. Simon,
have you seen a couple Bruce Willis films like Last Boy Scout, or like I think the other one's called Last Man Standing or something?
No.
There are these 2 very 90s action films where it's the same thing, where I think like one of them, I remember someone gets shot with a gun and they fly backwards like 8 feet when they get hit by the bullet.
That's A1. That's A1 action right there. You need to.
Yeah, you need to have them like strapped to like wires to make them fly backwards after they get shot. Anyway, sorry. I'll we can get back to anyone else's negatives on Heat.
What was that John Woo film? Is it Hard Boiled? Simon, you'll know one.
Yeah, it is Hard Boiled.
Is it Hard Boiled? Because John Woo with his action, because he's obviously in 90s, like he did later, but like in the 90s he did action films.
And the guns never run out.
He'd always have the doves come out. So what happened is the guys would always go for the guns like this every time, bar none.
Yeah.
It goes super slow and everyone takes like the bullet time. And these doves always fly in out of nowhere. And I remember, still to this day, some of the hardest things I've ever seen is just the doves coming in. And then you have that great joke in like 21. Is it 21 Jump Street? That you got to make
Yeah.
sure we got the doves. And then they start shooting the doves. Oh my god.
Even in Mission Impossible, I'm sure, because he does the second one, doesn't he?
Oh my god. When Tom Cruise is in a factory, I know the scene you're talking about. He hasn't even got a jacket on, but he reaches underneath his like tank top and he goes, and then all these doves fly in.
But Simon, was there anything you didn't like about Heat? Because I know you're.
Nah, no, nothing. I can't think of anything bad.
A1 film.
Yeah, it's just a fun film.
Sharik,
This is the film Tom and Jerry dream of.
I wish Tom and Jerry were just inserted into this film.
To be fair, you could do the exact same film with just Tom and Jerry.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Tom going up to that guy? She's got a green.
The ultimate cat and mouse film.
Yeah.
That's the tagline of the film right there. The ultimate cat and mouse game.
That probably was one of the taglines that Tom and Jerry actually used.
Oh, nah.
I was going to watch Tom and Jerry before I saw the cast, and then I was like, I guess I'm not.
No, don't do it. Yeah, Carson's like, what if we do that? That'd be funny. I'm like, okay, sure. And it's really awful.
So guys, should we give it a final score? I would give it a 4 out of 5. I did really enjoy it, even though I spent most of my time talking about the negatives, but I really enjoyed it. It's not a perfect film in my opinion, but on that topic, I'll pass over to Simon, who may disagree with me there.
I'm gonna give it a perfect 5.
The 5. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that, but it's a big thing when you.
Yeah.
But Sharik, what would you give it?
You have to bring the hands back out because I give it a 5. I give it a straight 5. Yeah, I thought. Obviously we know how I feel about the film. I talked about it. I don't know. I just when everything just works, and you just see everything just so good, especially these guys. I don't know if I'll say they're at their peaks, but they're at a level. They're operating at a level where even if you don't like the genre, even if you don't like there's so many things about the film you don't have to enjoy, but you're just like, this is incredible, and you watched it in 360p and you're still like, that's amazing. The levels of something has to be at for you to watch it at 360p and be like, yo, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And you stuck with it for 3 hours at 360p.
Yeah.
Like that's how you know something's good.
That was my commitment to not having to pay for it.
Jeff, what would your final score for the film be?
I think I'm probably with you. So I think probably a 4.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, I liked it, yeah, but it's
yeah.
For me, I think when I rate things, a lot of times my brain takes into account how much I want to see it again. And the length of it is, I know that's very harsh to penalize a movie's rate, for the length of it. But no, I think it's a good film. It's just, it's so long.
I'm exactly the same. For a film to be considered one of my favorites, that's when I give it a 5. And a favorite has to be, I would watch it again.
Yeah.
Not to be the superhero guy, but Avengers Endgame, I give a 5 because even though it's 3 hours, I could watch that whenever. The only film I've given a 5 that I would never watch again is Schindler's List, because it's a perfect film. No one's ever like, should we sit down and watch Schindler's List?
Right.
Never.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair.
That film
honestly, I would be concerned if I had a friend who's like, hey, you want to watch Schindler's List?
Yeah, can you imagine? You go to someone's house like, yo, broski, Schindler's List? No, never. Could never watch. It's like if you go to someone's house, they're just throwing the Human Centipede, different context, but same reaction.
Like, hey, you want to watch Schindler's List, and then we can read Anne Frank's diary?
Terrible time. You're just like, whoa.
On that topic.
Wait, Kyle, I gotta ask the question.
One sec. On the cast, you have a way of rating films, which is what time of day would you give it? Which means what's the ideal time to watch this film?
Yeah.
So, Sharik, before we do our way, we'll do their way. Okay.
Let's do their way.
I would give it a 7 o'clock. That 3 hours, it finishes at 10. There's still time in the night maybe to have a couple of drinks, discuss the film. I think 7 o'clock, the perfect time to watch this film. Jeff,
I agree. I think 7 or 7:30 because you want to do it you want to eat dinner, so you're watching it on a full stomach. You have just have a drink with you, watch a 3-hour movie, and then you do something else.
Yeah. Sharik?
I'm gonna let Simon go first because my answer is gonna be so mind blowing. Keep it to the end.
I want to say probably like 6, 7 when it's evening, because you know how his films are like. He loves blue in his films, so especially if you live by the coast like we do, we're graced by lovely canals, the sunset, and then
That lovely
this film,
Birmingham sky.
yeah,
great,
perfect. You
great
feel
skies,
like you're
great
in the
water.
film. Yeah,
He's joking, but isn't it true we have more canals in
Canals in
Venice?
Venice.
yeah.
True.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
Simon-
sure they're
Simon's
equally
counted.
as lovely.
Yeah.
You've gone to Lears, taken people through those canals.
Not quite. There's guys in houseboats, but there's so many houseboats that you can't really, and the water's grey and like brown. It's not quite the no. You don't like in Italy, you can like taking selfies and like, wow, look at this amazing people at houseboats like.
Really, yeah. Your canals are just like filled with sewage.
Yeah. And dead bodies.
Yeah, quite a few probably. Dexter Morgan antics, just gone.
Sharik, what's the perfect time of day to watch this film?
Okay, guys, let me paint a picture for you very quickly. Okay, it's 10 p.m. You change it to something sexy, turn down the lights, experience it as a whole. You've watched it 3 hours, right? Wow, you've been taken on this journey. Immediately get up, look out the window as the credits play and the music goes on. Just stare out the window for a second, contemplate. You're like, wow, what have I seen? Just start thinking about your relationship. But I guess if you're in a relationship, think about that. If you're not in a relationship, think about why you're not in a relationship. You know what I mean? Has your commitment to work ended you? As the credits just continue to roll, so that's a good, what was it, about like 10 minutes in the credits? It's enough time to ponder and think. Then you turn it off, jump into bed, go about your day. I don't know. Do what you want, however your evening starts. But that's the perfect vibe for the film.
And Sharik, how do we rate films here?
Here's how we rate films here. Jeff, I don't know if you've heard the podcast. Obviously, number one podcast in the world, number one film podcast in the world, well-renowned. Robert De Niro himself said to us, So you know what I mean? So we're obviously very well rated. We rank films here by saying, how did they make you feel? Because how you guys were saying earlier, the way you rank films is you go back and say, would I rewatch this? Which I do as well. But the way I always think about how I rank films is, and this is what separates me from, cinephile Simon over here, and Kyle's kind of the best of both worlds out of the two of me. But it's how does it make you feel? So, Jeff, you're the guest. We'll let you go first. How did this film make you feel?
Okay. I wish I had an example answer to go off of, but if you want an example, we can throw it. If you want an example, we can throw it to somebody else. Get back to you. Yeah. You know what? I'm gonna throw it to Kyle.
Oh, that was a shock. So I would say enthralled is how I would say it, because Soul hit us emotionally. We watched another film called Entranced Earth. It made us feel dead inside because it was one of the worst films we've ever seen.
2-pack of ass.
When watching this, I couldn't look away, which is all I really asked for a film. And just to call it entertaining seems a bit surface level, because it's working on multiple levels. The way you wouldn't walk out of the Dark Knight and be like, oh, it's an entertaining film. You'd be like, oh, it's enthralling. It's cinematic. I wish I had seen this on the big screen, but that's how I would say it made me feel. It made me feel enthralled and captivated.
Entranced.
And don't bring up the word entranced after Entranced Earth. Awful film.
Yeah.
Simon, how did it make you feel?
It made me feel like a man, I can feel the testosterone seething, just increasing every time I watch this film. Oh man, and it just made me happy. I was just so happy every time I watch this film. Just really happy.
Is it a comfort watch for you?
No, when I say every time, I've already watched it 3 times. I'm not watching it 3 hours of my life, continuously lost to this film.
You need this film on to go to sleep.
Can you imagine somebody you have a bad day, you go through a breakup, whatever, you're like, you know what's gonna make me feel better? Heat. Oh my gosh.
Sharik, how did it make you feel?
I kind of agree with you, really, honestly, Kyle. I agree with both of you, really. I was mesmerized. I was I couldn't take I was so locked in. You just locked in on the film. It was so good. And I remember the last time I haven't paused the film to do something. I try not to pause the film when I'm watching it, but it happens more often now than it ever did before. I guess because I'm at home. But just watching this, I didn't pause. I was so locked in. I got back to everything afterwards. It's weirdly enough, what Simon said, you do really feel like super manly when watching this, you know. No, you finish the film, you're like, yeah. You're like, justice. You're just like, yeah. I don't know how to describe that. Like, yeah,
It's Moby at the end of films. Every time they play Moby in his music,
it was
it's him.
Moby at the end of it.
Yeah, like when I watch Ultimatum, Born Ultimatum,
Oh yeah,
just
you feel
like
pumped. You feel pumped.
I just want to go. I just want.
After I finished that film, I genuinely did just want to look out my window, and I did it for about 2.5 minutes until I was like, "This is stupid. I thought this is dumb."
Yeah.
You ever just do something and catch yourself halfway through? But I was like, the fact that it made me want to just like stare out my window for a minute, I was like, "Whoa."
I mean, who wouldn't want to stare out the window and look at lovely Birmingham?
You know what I mean? In the night sky with our 2 lights lit up.
Jeff, is that enough ammo?
Okay, yeah, I feel like I understand what this question means now, and I think I can relate my own experience and give a broader, understanding between all of us. So I would say, a little bit enthralled. There's a lot of adrenaline in this film. It did make me feel similar to Point Break when I watched that, because it's just like kind of a ball, it's as Bob Dylan said, it's like a rolling stone.
Who's Bob Dylan?
Don't take the bait.
I'm not. Yeah.
The way Carl calls me so hard, Carl's like, he knows who it is. He knows who it is.
Yeah.
But,
I honestly would have felt too bad to explain who Bob Dylan was if I thought you actually didn't know.
Oh, he's the guy at the end of it, Llewyn Davis, in it. So it's like inside Llewyn Davis, and then he comes up. Yeah,
he's the guy who's in Llewyn Davis for a couple minutes.
Yeah, Coen Brothers character. Yeah, classic at the end of the movie.
Yeah, he's a fake musician.
Oh yeah, it's evident we all liked it here. Would we say this is the best film we've watched on the ranking? Did we prefer it over Soul? As number 1.
Soul wasn't realistic for me.
Shut up,
so this really was. It really was realistic.
That probably made no sense out of context.
Yeah, of course.
There's a clip on Twitter where Simon claims that Soul isn't realistic, and we give him so much flack for it.
But it's the reason he goes. He says like a particular scene, right?
It was like, illogical. That's what I said.
No. But that's not what you said.
Yes, it was.
He goes, there's a particular scene. He goes, that's just not realistic. And I was like, the film about a soul dropping into animated Fox's body, right? And then the other soul falls into a cat. It wasn't realism for you. He was like, I just thought it kind of came out of nowhere. It's a fiction. It's
I didn't say that. I said something like, if you're going to commit to realism, commit properly instead of going in and out.
No way you thought there was realism in Heat as well.
Yeah, there was.
Yo, how many people died in that scene? And then, like, as we just said before, fucking murdered it. Oh, he saved one little girl. Well done. Well done. The trail of bodies behind them.
Yeah, he saved one girl, but he did shoot a bullet about, a few centimeters from her head.
She's traumatized for life.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it. She's gonna have to go to therapy. She has to go through everything. And what did he have? What, a TV set?
Yeah.
And by the way, his wife is the least understanding woman I've ever met. Turn on the TV. Where was my husband today? Turn on the TV. He just shot all these people. You're telling me that didn't make the news? Are you crazy? Because she asks him such stupid questions. She goes to him like, where have you been? Turn on the TV. There's all these news reporters, right? Whenever he shows up anywhere, there's all these news reporters. She's like, you don't tell me about your job. If I turn on the TV right now, it will tell me what's going on in the, you know what I mean? If I lived in LA, I don't think there's so many mass shootings with this many like people die straight away that won't make the news. A police.
There aren't just massive shootouts in England all the time.
No.
Recently, they're getting worse. But
I mean, they're not to this scale.
Yeah.
I mean, if that ever happened, that would be like, it's such a, like, it's in so many films where there are shootouts that are just like city blocks, like big, and there's so many people in the crossfire, and it's ridiculous. Like, I don't know why in the 90s people thought that's what was happening and it was like a realistic type of shootout that ever happened.
I just realized something else as well. When Al Pacino goes home, that guy is watching the news. He sat there watching the news. Did she not just be like, oh, that guy looks familiar? She heard her husband's name. She didn't clock. And her first reaction was like, I'm gonna go out, I'm gonna go fuck somebody else, do this and that, right? Which, you know what? Oh, okay. I don't know. Because you spoke to him twice, and he's clearly had a hard day. Again, turn on the TV. You will see why he has had a hard day. She's just off a fucking rocker. Now that I think about it, that's such an insane. You know, if I was having a hard time at work, right? And my work was so public that everybody could see. It's the same as in The Dark Knight. You know, when Rachel's like, she's like, Bruce, we can't be together. This man is fighting criminals on the streets. Just take a look out of your window, right? You see him driving a tank down the street most nights. And Rachel's like, I just don't. Rachel's just like, I just don't understand why you can't leave this life behind. Guy in clown maker's about to kill everyone. Why can't I leave this life behind?
I think people have got their money's worth when it comes to us talking about Heat. This next segment is where we talk about what we've been watching this week.
Yeah.
Me and Simon recorded an episode earlier today, so we've got nothing new to add, really. So,
Wow.
what have you two been watching this week? Actually, Jeff, would you like to go first?
Yeah, Jeff, you
sure.
want to go first.
So I haven't watched that much. I've been kind of, you know, when you watch shows that you, it's like I'm watching a show I watched 10 years ago. I'm kind of just like binging that sort of.
Yeah.
So it's this really dumb American show from like maybe 10, 12 years ago called Burn Notice.
That shit was hard.
Oh,
No, Burn Notice was hard.
Okay, you had
Yeah,
Burn
yeah.
Notice?
Yeah. Burn Notice was hard. I saw the first couple of seasons. I did it was too many, and I sort of dropped out. But
Yeah. Well, that's the thing about American television. We have a lot of it. We're like, hey, here's an idea. What if we make 200 episodes?
Can I ask, are you watching that because it just you wanted to go there again, or was it because are you turning to comfort watches during this? Because we mentioned this last week. We've been rewatching a lot of stuff instead of watching new stuff.
Yeah.
Is that why, or did you just want to watch it again?
I think some of both. Yeah, because I haven't seen it since it like ended, which would have been 7 years ago. So yeah, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? This seems like a thing that I vaguely remember that'd be fun to watch again. But I think also part of it is I just don't want to commit to watching anything new right now.
Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Jeff, did you ever watch the show Chuck?
Yeah.
A1. That's an A1 show. That's the greatest show.
I don't think I ever finished it, but I think I watched the first like 2 seasons.
Nah, you're missing out. 5 seasons of pure greatness.
Yeah. So okay, we had a channel in America, and it was called the USA Network.
Yeah.
But it was owned by like NBC Universal, and they had this peak that was in around 2010 where they had a bunch of really good shows that were almost the exact same. I actually just brought this up because I think in my podcast I talked about watching Burn Notice as well. But they had, I don't know how many of these shows you got, but they had Burn Notice, they had White Collar, they had Psych.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and they had Monk, with Tony Shalhoub.
Oh yeah, I heard of that.
And then they had Suits.
Oh, Suits.
Yeah.
Didn't they have The Mentalist as well?
No, that was CBS.
Oh,
so because The Mentalist was kind of a ripoff on Psych. It was like a more serious version, but it was like the whole fake psychic thing. Because
in the UK, they all came on one channel, and The Mentalist was part of the block. And you had like Ghost Whisperer and shit as well. It was on like Sky Living or whatever the hell. It was like such a random channel.
Yeah, I mean, Ghost Whisperer was also not on USA, but wasn't that with like Patricia Arquette or something?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Sharik,
oh no, Patricia Arquette was on Medium.
Oh yeah,
which is similar to Ghost Whisperer, I guess.
It was a fake ghost because she used to have to do this. Then Ghost Whisperer, she would just see the ghosts. She used to have to do this. And she'd be like, ah, like a DJ. She'd be like, ah. So she communicates with the dead. She's like, ah.
Sharik, do you want to give an office update?
Okay. To all the loyal fans of the podcast, you've been keeping up with this. Finally finished The Office. I finished it on Saturday. Last season was ass. Absolutely terrible. But last 5 episodes brought it around. I don't know why they tried to make Jim and Pam divorce.
One second. Have you seen it, Jeff? So there's no spoilers.
I actually have never finished it, so I might go back and watch it at some point. So maybe...
Okay. No plot details, Sharik.
Yeah.
I don't know why happened to I don't know why this. No. the last 5 episodes were really good, and you know what? I'm gonna sound so hypocritical here because I used to make so many jokes on people who love The Office. I'd be like, you get a personality, guy. I was like, this is like terrible. Yo, The Office is fire. Like, I get why it was as popular as it was. This is a great show.
Yeah. Now, is that the same thing in England where because here there was this whole thing where on dating apps like Tinder, people would put that they love The Office as like one of their defining personality traits.
Yeah,
it was Friends in England because we didn't get The Office as much as we got like Friends, and Friends is such a popular, like, you can go anywhere in the world, like not anywhere in the world. Well, you can go anywhere in the world, but anywhere in like the UK, and people sell like some Friends merchandise from like birthday cards to like coasters.
That's really
like,
weird.
It's odd. It's such a Friends is trash, but I mean, no, it's not. But
Yeah.
but I agree that some people do use "I like The Office" as a defining personality trait.
Yeah, it's like looking for a gym to my Pam or something. That's what people like put on their bio.
And
that's
there would
tacky.
be the worst one was The Office episode blank, minute blank of what season. Then people would have to search up what season, and it was Michael Scott going, "I'm your daddy" or something. So
terrible.
Each to their own, but yeah. Have any of you watched any films, or have you just been going into TV shows at the moment?
Do you want to go, Jeff, or should I?
Well, I did watch Tom and Jerry like a week ago. Do not recommend.
Have you watched Nomad Land yet for the podcast?
I haven't. No, I was thinking about watching it tonight. It's either going to be tonight or tomorrow. I watch it, so I finally will get there.
We've just got Star on Disney Plus, and it's being added to that because I think it's on. Did you say Hulu in America?
It's on Hulu in America.
Yeah, it'll be on Star and Disney Plus.
We're getting it next month, so I'm fine waiting till then. Or I might need to watch it along with the podcast. I might need to track it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
Yeah.
That and Minari I still haven't seen. It's kind of weird how I've seen like the news on that is that they like award shows are trying to have it as a foreign film.
Yeah, got the Golden Globes put it in a foreign film, which is ridiculous because it's American, the Asian American in it, and it's shot in America, and it's an American film.
I mean, it's really like a very bizarre statement on language, if anything, because they're calling it a foreign film because it's not completely in English, which it has to be. I mean, what other component of it's not American?
Simon, what language is spoken most? Is it mostly American or
Korean? Yeah, mostly.
You've seen it.
Mostly
American.
No, Korean.
Oh, Korean.
Korean.
Because
I just mean it's still
it's a blend. Yeah, there's more Korean, but just like 10-20%, not a lot.
It's
yeah,
still ridiculous. Because even at the Oscars the year, I don't know if we mentioned this in the last episode or on like the pre-show bit we did. Les Mis and Portrait of a Lady on Fire were nominated the same. No, they couldn't be nominated the same year. So I just think the way award shows deal with foreign films in general is just awful.
I think we're getting to the point where I don't know why you even need to differentiate them.
Yeah.
Like films are so international at this point in terms of when they're available to the public.
Yeah. I saw Parasite, was it 2 times in cinemas, and it was sold out both times here in England.
Yeah, it's packed.
So if a film is that good, it can clearly like pass the subtitles barrier. Obviously, it is a problem for some people, but I do think whether maybe that foreign language category maybe should just be gone in general and maybe just be merged with the main category. I don't know, because then if you do that, it takes away some of the spotlight from other films. But
I see. I think the only problem with what you're saying is I agree with you in like the general idea of it, and like they shouldn't be 2 separate categories and stuff. I don't know who I'm looking at, by the way, when I'm looking at this. So, no, but I think the problem is when you have not the problem. I think the good thing about having a best foreign film category is a lot of times these films that wouldn't get a nomination.
Yeah.
In best picture, or they wouldn't get a nomination anywhere else in best foreign film, at least that brings some eyes to it. So
no, that's a great point.
Maybe they should get rid of the rule of 1 per country, and because then it almost becomes like a checklist Maybe
Yeah.
it could be like just the best films do get nominated. I'm not sure. There's someone better qualified to talk about this thing.
I was gonna say, I've always wondered about best foreign film. Is like, for example, if you got a film from like England, right, or say Taika Waititi's what was it Hunt for the Wilder People, which was like filmed in New Zealand or whatever, right? See that. Do those films because like a lot of British films, Atonement was nominated for like Best Picture, Slumdog Millionaire Best Picture, all these different things which were like British films, but they were never nominated Best Foreign. See what I'm saying? It's a weird, because what's foreign to them then? If you're gonna say what
English basically, I guess.
It seems like more of a language differentiation than anything.
Yeah,
I think if a film is in English, it has the wider appeal. So maybe that's just the way they categorize it. I'm not saying it's right, but I think that's probably what they do. So yeah, should we move on to the final category? This is the bit where Letterboxd has its 4 favorites on your profile. So we always give 4 recommendations. Usually we give a group one. We give one each in a group.
Now we have a 4th.
But we have a 4th one, so it should work out perfectly.
Perfect.
Does anyone have one in mind they want to go through straight away, or
is this just any general recommendation?
Just a film you want people to like go out and see?
Okay,
like,
perfect.
It doesn't have a big spotlight. Simon, you said you have one.
I'm gonna go with, given the influence, Baby Driver. Do you see the influence?
Ooh.
I know the connection.
Yeah.
Jeff, do you want to explain the Baby Driver?
Okay. All right. I wasn't prepared for this. But yeah, so when Baby Driver came out, I was concurrently doing this really dumb fake Twitter account called Cube Jeff, where I pretended I was really into this car that Nissan made called a Cube. And after I saw it, I tweeted at Edgar Wright about how it was a great movie, but it didn't have any cubes in it. And then he responded on Twitter saying that would be the sequel called Cube Driver starring me. So then I spent the next day, like 10 hours green screening myself into the Baby Driver trailer. Like I was at work doing it too. So I think I spent 4 hours at work, like starting to do it. And then when I got home, I like filmed a bunch of stuff of me.
I rewatched it yesterday. The funniest bit is when she goes, "What's your name?" And you're like, "Jeff." And she goes, "Baby." And you're like, "No, I just said it was Jeff." It's so funny. If people haven't seen it, go and check it out. It's so funny. But
yeah, I know that. I was pretty happy with how that turned out. And then the car company Nissan retweeted it. But the issue is that there's not a large crossover between people who are fans of comedy and people who follow the official Nissan Twitter account. So it was just, the thread on it just has a bunch of people who are like, yeah, my Nissan Cube, all the components rusted out. Like, what do you think I'm going to do about that?
So you were the one who could bring balance to the Nissan Cube.
Yeah, he's like, you should hate this car. It sucks. I'm like,
well, all right. Simon, I think it's your recommendation. What else did you love it? Because I know you're a big fan of the film.
Wait, about Heat or Baby Driver?
Baby Driver.
I'd say, yeah.
Talk about Heat more.
My recommendation for this week is Heat.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Like, Baby Driver was just, it caught me by surprise. Like, it was a nice turn for Edgar Wright, no pun intended.
That's better than
it was a nice handbrake turn.
Yeah. Because before then, he'd made very distinct, idiosyncratic like comedies, and this one was a lot more dramatic and and calm and whatnot.
It was
American, of course, as well. Yeah.
I was going to say it did feel more mainstream and accessible than
even
though the Cornetto trilogy is very accessible, most people love it. This felt like it was made for like the open night audience, like people are going to be cheering in their seats watching it.
Yeah, it felt like very much a theater film, which was it was so much fun to see in a theater.
Me and Simon, we saw that together in the cinemas, and okay, Simon, you don't have to pretend like you don't know me. We saw that together. No, we saw that together at cinemas. I remember there was times where you and you don't normally react as much in the cinema as I do. So I expected it from me. You there was a couple times where you were the way it's made. I remember the sort of impact it had on you. You know what I mean? You were like,
I almost took my thing out.
Yeah, we had to calm that one down quite quickly. Did not we that, Simon? Just weird.
They said, put it back in your pocket.
We're like neither the time nor the place.
I have another recommendation. I was going to try and link it with the Cars because it's sort of a road trip film, but there's no connection whatsoever, so I don't know why I brought it up. I recently watched Ingrid Goes West. Just finished WandaVision. As you can tell, I'm a bit of a fan. And I thought I'd go out my way and check work that Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen have done. And she only plays like a minor role in this. It's more Aubrey Plaza's film. And it's about a girl who's like obsessed with social media, and the moment she gets like a like or a comment from someone, instantly is like, oh, that's my best friend. Like, they love me. And she gets a reply from a social media influencer, and she immediately drops everything she's doing, heads to LA. I think it's LA, and I'm assuming that's West. I'm not familiar with the map of America.
Yes, LA is on the West Coast.
Yeah, that explains
the America expert here.
That explains the title. And she like goes to the places she goes, like by looking at her Instagram feed, like goes to her favorite restaurant, and it comments on social media as a whole, but also comments on like people being fake in general, like people putting on a persona of almost like fake positivity, which like sounds weird, but like she's looking up to this Instagram model who isn't perfect herself. And it draws like these lines between both of them. Obviously, one of them's a stalker and one of them is like just a normal person, but it shows they're not so different. And it's not to compare it to Joker. It is like a female Joker done in a more like intellectual. But
I don't know if that's the tagline they're gonna want for that film.
Joker Goes West.
It's like a female Joker.
If you like the Joker, then you'll love Ingrid Goes West.
It's more intellectual than it's deeper than Joker, and like it doesn't seem deep at first.
I'm sorry.
Wait, don't you like Joker? Yeah.
No, I do like Joker. I know it's cool to hate on that film, but it's one of those that's quite thought-provoking, Ingrid Goes West, and you wouldn't expect it to be. And it has positive messages about people prefer the real you than like a put-on you. And it's got a great cast. It's got Aubrey Plaza, Elizabeth Olsen, Wyatt Russell. Is that Kurt Russell's son? Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, he's in
and Billy Manganuson, is that his surname? The one from Game Night. And he's fantastic in everything. So I would highly recommend it. Sharik, what would you say?
I was going to say, isn't what's name in it as well? The woman who plays Mantis.
Yeah, the one who plays Mantis in Guardians is in it.
I can't remember her name. I feel bad. Oh, but Palm Clentinoff.
It's Palm something. I can't think of their surname. But Sharik, you go next, and then we'll finish with Jeff's recommendation.
Okay, so my pick for this week is to try and sort of link with the theme of Heat. Originally, I thought about doing The Dark Knight, but then I was like, I think that's going to show up on the list at some point anyway. Don't want to blow it so quickly here. Yeah. So I thought of a different kind of thriller, more of a like a almost more psychological based thriller. I've gone with Mother by Bong Joon-ho, which was the 2000. Not Mother by Darren Aronofsky, which is fucking ass. I've gone with
I don't think it's ass. It's got a great ass. I don't think it's ass though.
If Darren Aronofsky,
it's a great film.
He knows where he can find me. Not watching Mother. You know what I mean? But Mother by Bong Joon-ho, it's a Korean film, obviously. Bong Joon-ho, and it's hard to talk about it because you don't want to give anything away. Okay, it shows the lengths a mother will go to protect her son, and it's one of those films where like you ever just watch a film and you find yourself thinking about it months later. Like I saw that film in end of 2019, I think, could be start of like 2020, right? I saw it a long time ago. I still think about that film all the time, and I'll be like chilling, just minding my business, and then I just remember like the end shot, for example, or I remember like a lot of things that happened. Her son basically gets framed for a murder. Framed for a murder, whether he did it, that's the whole sort of mystery of the film. But the way it's set up at the beginning is that he's been framed for a murder, and the mother's like, he didn't do it. All the evidence is against him. Everything's against him. Give me 2 seconds. I think I hear somebody. 1 second.
Well, I'll cut around this bit.
I'm on the.
Should we make that the cold open at the start?
Yeah.
I blame. Listen, it happened again, man. My grandma. You can't tell a woman anything. You just say, "Oh, listen, visit. Hey, what she got?" You know, can't live with them. Can't live without them. My grandmother's. But yeah. So speaking of mothers, right? Thank you. No, but this film is so tightly woven, and then as the film goes on, and director Bong just keeps untying this thread. I don't know why I'm calling him director Bong now, but so everyone calls him, and as they like keep untying the threads of this film, it is insane. The way, I don't know. Have any of you guys seen the film before?
Yeah, of course I've watched it, but like I don't think about it because my mum's in my life, so it's not like.
I mean, that's not what the film's about.
No, yeah. I
No,
want
but
to take
like,
the joke.
I thought you might watch this, Simon. Real cinephile and stuff. Anyway,
Yeah,
but-
more than you.
You don't
I
watch
haven't
shows.
seen it. I don't. Yeah. See, I've seen like 3 films.
Diary of a Wimpy Kid, Tom and Jerry, and Heat.
Heat. Yeah. And then my recommendation.
Your recommendation is, but no, Mother is one of those
yeah.
films where it's not even that long. It's correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's under 2 hours. But the way it flies. The reason I thought of Heat was it's one of those films that you just watch and you're so locked in, and it's so good. And it doesn't really have any special effects or anything like that it needs, like his film The Host, which is a great film, but the effects kind of sometimes throw you off because it was like 2003. But this film, it's 2009, it has no real special effects. You could watch it at any point. Everything that's done in that film is practical, and it's A1. Great film.
And Jeff, do you want to finish it off?
Yeah. So my recommendation is one of my favorite films, Ishtar, directed by Elaine May. It's a 1987 film starring Dustin Hoffman and Warren Beatty. And they're like lounge singers who go to Morocco. It's a lot of fun. Like, you can't take it too seriously. I mean, obviously it's a comedy. Elaine May, I don't know how much any of you know about Elaine May, but Elaine May is like a very interesting person. Or she's still alive. But she kind of got like blacklisted after this film. And I think she's finally trying to do like one more film soon.
Is there controversy around this film? Or was there like
there is controversy in that it was a huge box office failure. There's like a lot of stuff though where it's like Columbia, who I think Coke owned them at that point or recently acquired them. I forget the exact history, but they like kind of intentionally tanked the film because someone who worked there like hated Warren Beatty. And also the film was shot like a lot of it was in Morocco. So it was like this film cost like $30 million to make in 1987, which is a ton. But it's just like a really fun movie. And like Paul Williams, who wrote like Rainbow Connection, like that Kermit song, and is like the songwriting guild like president. He wrote most of the songs for the film. So it's just a lot of interesting people attached. It's just like a really stupid, fun like movie.
Is the film a musical? Sorry, just
it's not a musical, but they are lounge singers who there are like a bunch of musical scenes. So it's like there's very specific. It's not like interspersed throughout. It's just very specific scenes where they sing a bunch of songs.
Okay.
What's the general reception to this film? Are people starting to warm to it now? Like now that the test of time has passed, or
I think definitely more so than when it came out, because when it came out, people thought it was like the worst film ever. Where now I think people think it's like a decent comedy. I think it's very good.
What
I think the general
so
I watched it because I had this phase in like high school where I was trying to watch all the films that people thought were the worst films. And then I watched this and I was like, what? This film was awesome.
That sounds like a podcast idea.
Yeah, we should have done that.
Yeah. So I also watched possibly the actual worst film, Leonard Part 6, which was first of all, it was a Bill Cosby movie.
Oh.
But I watched it before all of the Bill Cosby. You
mean Pill Cosby?
Yeah. No, I watched it before then. So that was not. And even then, I thought it was terrible. That wasn't the reason it was terrible. It was just a really, really bad movie.
I reckon
yeah.
I was gonna say on Letterboxd, I reckon you single-handedly and the Cast have probably lifted Ishtar's rating from whatever it was.
Yeah, I hope so. I don't think I ever did like a written review of it on Letterboxd, but I think Karsten did, so I'm sure that's like the number one review if he did.
Is he the number one person on Letterboxd completely now, or
I don't know. I think he's number 3 or 4.
Is it Sean Baker?
He's definitely like
Sean Baker above
5.
him.
Yeah. I'm sure I'm like number 10,000 or something.
Yeah, I'm definitely somewhere. If I feel like I never even thought about there's a ranking system to Letterboxd. But now that I think about it, it's his name. You watch it when you see a film because he's the patron, isn't he? So you see his name with that little flag next to it that goes patron.
You see his like green circle.
Yeah, it just pops up everywhere.
If you misspell someone's name on Letterboxd, it comes up with the most popular people instead because there's like no search results. And I'm pretty sure Carlton is like on that list at the top. So
no, he's like very, I don't know, it's insane how popular he is on that site.
Wow.
And on the Cast, you've interviewed a lot of Letterboxd community guests, like your Lucy, Demi, Ayana Murray. Is that right?
Yes.
Who else have you interviewed? What's her name from 8th grade? But I'm forgetting. Elsie Fisher.
Elsie Fisher. Yeah. We also had Wyatt Olaf on
from It.
It is fun. Like we have, I guess I can't really announce it on a thing, but we have like another exciting guest.
You can announce it on
here. It hasn't happened yet.
We can bleep it, and also no one listens to this. So realistically,
I'll let you guys know once we're done recording.
All right.
Once the red circles off.
I'll say because you hyped it up now. Because now I'm like,
yeah.
But yeah, I listened to it from the start because the first episode was Vice, and I'm not gonna lie, I bought AirPods because of the Cast. Carson promoted those.
I mean, obviously I have them in, but
he promoted those like every episode, and I was like, at one point I was like, I need to get some of these.
That's why I got him too, because he was talking about them so much. And then when I started traveling, I was like, when you have giant headphones, they take up way too much space in a bag, so these are perfect.
Do you know when they were first announced? I thought they were so stupid, and I was
Me too.
I was like, they're gonna get lost so easy, and I couldn't live without them now. I couldn't.
Yeah, I know. I haven't lost them at all, and it's like they're perfect.
See,
that's like such a small form factor.
That's not for everyone though, because I was one of the rare like people who was like, AirPods, great idea, I'm down for it. So everyone had it, great, and I got them, and Kyle knows about this. I got them, and instantly I didn't wear them. I was like, so excited. I was going to work next day, and they put them in, test drive, let's go. They fell out as I was walking down my drive. Gravity or whatever just brought them down. They instantly fell out of my ears. And I had to return them to the Apple store. I work opposite the Apple store.
Yeah, have you tried the AirPod Pros?
I got the Beats ones, and which is a similar concept, similar sort of for showing cases. It's a similar thing, and they're great. They work good for my ears. They stay in, so not mad at that at all.
I also love not having to like untangle the cord. I remember that's like such a vivid memory growing up, where I had like the cable wrapped around the phone or something, or like the iPod Touch or whatever it was at the time, and then you had to like try to untangle it in your pocket.
And Simon, what are you chilling with? What are they?
We don't hear you.
Oh man.
What are they, Simon?
I got Sony ones, so I was gonna get AirPods, but then I watched a bunch of reviews and then compared them, and at the time, this was just like 1 a.m. cheap, like £40 cheaper. So I was like, what? I'm gonna get these instead.
This AirPod review is the only review that matters. This right here, this is we've been sponsored by Apple. If you didn't know, so
yeah.
So
oh my days.
That was a great episode. Thank you, Simon and Sharik, for joining us as usual. But Jeff, I would like to thank you because you've been really helpful in this whole thing. And
thank you for having me. This was a lot of fun. If you're still doing this in a couple months, I'm down to come back.
If you never check out the list and you're like, that's a film I want to watch, because it's like 10 more episodes till we get to like Get Out and Good Will Hunting. Before
I love Good Will Hunting.
If you want, you're always welcome back. And especially thank you for this episode, because
thank you so much.
I messaged you saying, would you like to be on the Heat episode? But I was like, it is 3 hours. And you were and you was like, I'll be on it, but it is 3 hours.
Yeah.
So thank you once again. I've been Kyle.
Are you pointing at me?
I can't tell you're
can't see you
because
pointing.
Yeah.
on that you're pointing at me when you did this.
Yeah.
So I'm Jeff.
Your boy. Sharik, it's me. Yeah.
And
Um,
we've been the CineLads, and we hope you enjoyed.